For all you road trippers out there, this is your relationship travel companion with me, Mary Delaney, here to bring you relationship skills from coast to coast. Many couples are driving rather than flying to their holiday destinations this year. And while you're headed to Danville or Des Moines or Denver or Dubuque or Detroit, you could do a number of things. You could listen to another episode of your favorite true crime podcast. You could play the license plate game. You could count billboards. You could stop at Stuckey's for a delicious pecan log, or you could work on your relationship. Here's how. I've pulled together a few essential relationship skills that you can learn and practice and maybe even master in the comfort of your car. So, by the time that you have reached Danville or Des Moines or Denver or Dubuque or Detroit, you will have been exposed to some simple yet critical relationship skills that can give your relationship the gas it needs to go the distance, or enough to help to at least handle some of those inevitable communication bumps in the road. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by presenting a concept, and then I will provide an example, and then I will ask you to pause the audio and practice. You can think of me as your glove box relationship concierge or your cruise control couples coach, whatever works for you. Okay, let's get started. When working with couples, I like to start on a positive note before diving into the challenges and conundrums that brought them to counseling in the first place. After all, there must be some things that are already working well in the relationship, or they would have called it quits long ago. I've found that this opening approach can alleviate some of the awkwardness that can happen when talking about more sensitive issues right out of the gate. Altogether, it's just a more comfortable place to begin. So, let's start on a more positive note. Try this. Take turns naming 3 things that you feel good about in your relationship, or things you feel are working well in your relationship right now. For example, my partner and I stay connected via text throughout the workday. Or, we meditate together. Or, we talk about sensitive issues that others might shy away from. After you've each taken turns naming those 3 things out loud, you will press play to resume this audio. So, now, briefly pause this audio and take turns naming 3 things that you feel good about in your relationship, or 3 things that you feel are working well in your relationship right now. Good luck and press pause. Great job. Now let's move on to one of the most important relationship skills of all. Learning how to validate your partner's feelings. Henry David Thoreau wrote, "Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant?" Well, that miracle is empathy. And simply put, empathy happens when we can imagine what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes, to imagine what it must feel like to be them at that precise moment in time. And when you're able to understand and reflect back or mirror back somebody else's emotions, that person feels understood, safe, and embraced, or in other words, they feel validated. Validating someone else's emotions is a learned skill. I'm going to say that again. It's a learned skill. One that's not taught in school and more than likely wasn't modeled at home. Nevertheless, it's vital to learn. Let me give you an example of validating someone's emotions. When your partner says, "I've been waking up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym every day for the last 3 weeks. I've cut out sugar and carbs and just about everything I love for my diet. Well, I stepped onto the scale this morning, and guess what? I still haven't lost any weight. I just can't believe it." So let me ask you this. How would you typically respond? Would you give your advice? Would you give your opinion? Would you change the subject? Would you share your own experiences with working out and trying to lose weight? Well, If you do, you're probably only likely to agitate your partner's feelings. And we want to validate, not agitate. Kind of corny, I know, but when we make up little cliches, they get stuck in our heads like song hooks. Validate, don't agitate. Thank you for indulging my inner rapper. As an alternative, could you resist the urge to problem solve or offer your advice, and instead focus on cueing into her feelings? Try this. As your partner goes into detail about her situation, put yourself in her shoes and imagine how she must be feeling. Or in other words, ask yourself how you might be feeling if the tables were turned. If you were getting up at dawn, working out, sticking to your diet, and you really wanted to lose weight, but you just weren't, how would you feel? Again, that's called empathy. And if you wanted to respond with empathy, if you wanted to validate, not agitate your partner's emotions, you might say something like, "Wow, honey, I know you've been working hard for the last 3 weeks, and you're just not seeing the results you want. That must be really frustrating." Notice how you were able to use your new empathy skills to accurately assess the way she must be feeling in that specific situation, and then verbally validate her by restating some of the details of her story, followed by the emotion you suspect she must be feeling, which in this case sounds like frustration. Remember, in that moment, it's not about how you feel. It's about how your partner feels. So listen keenly and intently. Let the rest of the world fall dark for a moment while you do your best to tune into your partner's experience. Look, I know this probably sounds like a lot, but this is just a skill, and like anything, a skill just requires practice. Hitting a tennis ball, learning an E minor chord on the guitar, riding a bike, it's just repetition. And with repetition comes mastery. So, now you've been exposed to the concept of empathy and how to validate your partner's emotions, which is, like I stated at the beginning of this audio, one of the most vital relationship skills. Ready to practice? Okay. Taking turns, each of you will talk about a concern or stressful situation that is going on in your life right now. Then, allow your partner to speak freely for several consecutive minutes while you just listen, cueing into the details of the story and asking yourself how you might feel in a similar situation. Respond by mirroring back some of the details of the story first, followed by the emotion you suspect your partner must be feeling in this situation. To make things a little easier, begin with this starter phrase. So, what I'm hearing you say is, I know that can sound a little formulaic and wooden, but for now, you're just practicing, you're just learning the skill, you're just learning how to ride this bike. You'll find language that suits you better as the skill becomes second nature to you. And by the way, don't forget to use the starter phrase. So what I'm hearing you say is, pause the recording now and practice. Good luck. Welcome back, and give yourself a pat on the back for learning one of the most vital relationship skills. Next, I'd like to talk to you about how to give a compliment. The skill of giving your partner a genuine compliment is another form of, you guessed it, validation. For starters, bear in mind that vague responses like good job or excellent or nice work, though well-intended, may ring a little hollow. If you want your compliments to really stick, first, acknowledge the specific achievement. For example, acing a test after studying every day for months, impressing the clients with a sales pitch she's reworked multiple times, or making a debut performance with an improv group despite her lifelong history of stage fright. After stating the specific achievement, compliment the personal quality that was required for her to accomplish that specific achievement. So, building on the examples we've already started, the compliments would sound something like this. Congratulations on acing that test. All those hours and hours of study required so much dedication. Next example. Hey, I hear your sales pitch was phenomenal, and I know how you reworked it multiple times until it felt just right. That took a lot of perseverance. Next example. Hey, I really enjoyed your debut performance. After battling stage fright your whole life, you stood up there in front of all those people and performed. I really applaud your courage. In these three examples, we name the specific achievement, followed by the personal quality that achievement required. Acing the test and dedication. Phenomenal sales pitch and perseverance. Overcoming stage fright and courage. Now, it's your turn to practice. Try this. Think of one of your partner's recent achievements. Acceptance into law school, organizing a well-attended community event, and congratulate her by, number 1, naming the specific achievement, followed by, number 2, the personal quality that specific achievement required. Pause the audio now and take turns complimenting each other using this new technique. Welcome back. The next skill we will cover is noticing small acts. Yep, that's actually a skill. And showing appreciation for even the smallest things that your partner does is, guess what? Another form of validation. And as you have already learned, validation makes your partner feel safe, understood, seen, and embraced, so closeness grows. And research shows that those who express gratitude are more psychologically motivated to hold on to their relationships. And feeling this sense of appreciation helps people recognize the true value of their partner. And a valuable partner is a treasure worth holding on to. So offering appreciation for your partner's efforts, especially small acts of service that may otherwise go unnoticed, may actually increase the longevity of your relationship. Here are a few examples. Thanks for being so engaging at my boss's party last night. I know that going to parties isn't your favorite thing to do, especially after a long work day. Anyway, I just really appreciate it. Another example. Hey, I love the way you handled that annoying phone solicitor that keeps calling. I was so focused on finishing my project, and it was just such a relief for you to answer the phone right away and handle it. Another example. Wow, the closet looks so organized now that you've rearranged things. Now I can actually find my shoes. Pause the audio now and offer some appreciation for a recent act of service by your partner, no matter how small. Welcome back. You're really starting to build a treasure chest of validation skills. The next and last validation skill I'm going to talk to you about is the important skill of supporting your partner's passion. In the movie Bridesmaids, a police officer, Nathan, surprises Annie, the main character, the morning after a romantic sleepover with an equally romantic gesture. Annie, a former cake shop owner, has suppressed her love of baking since the disastrous close of her bake shop 2 years prior. Nathan, tuning into Annie's dormant passion for baking, decides to make a plan to carefully sneak out before Annie wakes so he can buy all the necessary ingredients to bake a cake. Lining the counter with mixing bowls, spatulas, and ingredients, Nathan excitedly anticipates Annie's jubilant return to her favorite pastime. Though his gesture fumbles in the film, Nathan beautifully illustrates how to support your partner's passion. Noticing and participating in your partner's passion demonstrates that you are paying attention and that you too value the things in life that bring your partner joy. So, what is your partner's passion? It might be a hobby, a calling, a project, or even a recent undertaking. And how can you support that passion? Like Nathan, by surprising your partner with some necessary tools of the trade? Or arranging for private lessons if your partner has always wanted to learn guitar? Or maybe by clearing out the shed to make room for a pottery wheel? No need to share your plan just yet. You can keep it secret for now. Once you've made all the necessary arrangements, you can surprise your partner later with a big reveal. For this exercise, I simply want you to take turns naming 2 or 3 things that your partner is passionate about. Pause the audio now and name those things. Welcome back. So far, we started out naming some things that were already going right in your relationship. Then we talked about how to listen with empathy. We talked about how to give a compliment, how to notice small acts, and how to support your partner's passion. Learning these validation skills are fairly universal in most couples counseling. The last concept I want to talk to you about might seem a little odd in terms of relationship building, but in my work with all kinds of couples, I'm convinced that this might be just as important as all those validation skills. And it's the concept of taking space. It's healthy to miss each other, and absence does make the heart grow fonder. We know that hormones and neurotransmitters like oxytocin and serotonin surge when you're with someone you love and drop when you're apart. And experiencing this biochemical reset is actually quite healthy. This physical change in the absence of your partner can make your body and mind start yearning for your partner again, just like it did in the early days of your romance. And speaking of early romance, I typically recommend that new couples establish this healthy habit early on in their relationship by spending at least 2 nights of the week apart in order to establish healthy separateness. And though most new couples do resist this idea, it will start a new relationship off on a better track. Relationship whiz Esther Perel says, "Fire needs air." She's right. Love needs to breathe to stay alive, and oxygen to grow. So whether by reading or kayaking or spending a weekend at a sweat lodge, everyone, at no matter what age or stage of an intimate partnership, requires some me time, some healthy separateness, some time to go inward. Taking solo time also enhances self-worth because by doing so, you're sending yourself a message of worthiness because you are telling yourself, I am worthy of some time alone. I deserve some me time, which allows us to then turn our attention outward and connect with our partner in a deeper way. Go inward and outward. Sorry, sometimes I just can't help myself. So on your travels to Danville or Des Moines or Denver or Dubuque or Detroit, I hope you found it helpful to be exposed to these skills that certainly weren't taught in school and may not have been modeled at home. But congratulations, because now you're ahead of the game. Now you know that validating your partner's emotions is key. You know that giving compliments the right way is also key. You know that noticing small acts is key, supporting your partner's passion is key, and fostering healthy separateness by spending some time alone is also key. If you found this free audio helpful and would like to learn more, check out the 28-Day Relationship Rehab Workbook by me, Mary Delaney, available now at Amazon on Kindle and in print. Thanks for listening, and happy road tripping.